أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي ربنا زدنا علما آمين يا رب العالمين. So let's continue the topic of at-tashbih. As previously mentioned, that the wajh should be stronger, and it's always stronger and more evident in the mushabba bihi. However, in order to, you can say, exaggerate, the mushabba is sometimes given the status of the mushabba bihi, implying that the wajh is stronger in the mushabba, and that is what we are going to learn today, and that tashbih is called tashbih al-maklub. Tashbih al-maklub. So the Vajishaba must be stronger, that we learn that it should be more evident in the Mushabba bihi than in the Mushabbah, like we did the example here. But as mentioned, we are going to learn about a Tashbih al Maklub. So you know what is this inverted simile? This is a simile where the usual order of the comparison is just flipped. As I told you that the Vajishaba is much more stronger, you can say, in the Mushaba than in the Mushaba Bihi. So you just make the Mushaba Bihi into the thing being described, and the Mushaba becomes the example for that. And it is to make the Mushaba into the mushababihi, just you can say the reason can be just the exaggeration, or you can say that the wajh is much more stronger or clearer in the mushaba. To understand this concept, we are going to look into this example. See here, this is al maharibu kal asad. Al maharib kal asad. The warrior is like a lion. So here the warrior is just brave like a lion. So the inverted simile, that the Tashbih Maklub is like the lion is like the warrior. So Al Asad Kal Muharib. So this makes it seems like the warrior is the stronger reference for bravery, so strong that even the lion resembles him. So, what is the purpose of this simile, this Tashbih Maklub? To emphasize and exaggerate the quality being described. That means the Mushaba is now the Wajh Shaba is like you can say very strong, or you can say stronger than the Mushaba Bihi. In the Mushaba. Also, to create a fresh and imaginative expression, you can say this type of tashbih maklub you usually see in the poetry, in the Quranic language, and also in the elegant prose. To explain this with the context of the Quran, let's see a very beautiful example. Innamal bayu mislu riba. Indeed, trade is like riba usually, and we have seen this in Surah Baqarah, ayah number 275. Innamal bayu mislu riba. This is a very beautiful example to understand a tashbih al-maklub. So here we see trade is like riba that is mentioned in the Quran. So what is the reason of this tashbih al-maklub? This is as mentioned, we can see that the Wajh Shaba is much more stronger in the riba. We see in this example, like trade is like riba, Quran mentions, because the disbelievers saw riba as permissible and made it the standard by which trade is being judged. So the verse expresses their point of view in that form. So we see this Tashbih al-Maklub that is explained beautifully in the Quran in this ayah. So here we see this rhetorical benefit here. Indeed, trade is like usury, riba. In this verse, we see there is this simile is being used, the tashbih al-maklub, and which is the highest form of simile you can say. It is just the highest form of simile, where the thing being compared is made into the standard for the comparison. Like we can see the example in English, I can say that the brightness of the sun is like uh, Ali's face, or like Ali's light, you can say. So here, the poet, you can say, or the writer is making Ali's Ali, the original source of the brightness, and the sun is just merely resembles him. So likewise, in this verse, we can say the original should be like riba is like trade, but the Quran is saying the opposite. Trade is like riba because the disbelievers, as I already mentioned, that they saw riba as permissible and made it just standard. So the verse is just expressing their point of view that they are going to that they how they saw riba, and because the wajh shaba is much more stronger because the disbelievers saw it uh, like they were so used to it that they were just taking it like just like a trade. They didn't see its harm, and they were just taking riba as trade. So the Quran mentions it, this ayah, according to the disbelievers. So here, innamal bayu mislu riba, indeed, trade is like riba, is mentioned according to the point of view of the disbelievers because they believe that the riba, the usury, is just like the trade. So they just wanted to justify riba by comparing it to something that was widely accepted, and that is the trade, the buying and the selling. And the mentioning of the Tashbih al-Maklub is normally, we know that the expected form should be like riba is like trade, but because trade is the standard good, that is the halal, that is normal. But instead, the disbeliever said that the trade is like the riba, making riba the reference point, and trade the one being compared, and that's a reversal. It's as if riba is the original, and they made it so normal. They made it halal for themselves, and trade is just something like it. So that's tashbih al-maklub. So this rhetorical power of this construction, like you can say this tashbih al-maklub, by putting riba the as the mushababihi, the standard, the speaker shows that, or the Quran says that how we can say how deeply the disbelievers were mistaken, or they were misguided. They took something haram and made it the benchmark, or they made it halal for themselves. So this intensifies the, you can say, the condemnation in the verse. It's not just a false claim, but a misguided way of thinking, like just flipped upside down. So we know that this style of writing, um, it's just to emphasize how someone wrongly views things, as in this verse. We can say like also we can say sometimes praising someone by making great things resembles them, as we usually see in the poetry, also to add depth and creativity to express writing in mostly in the Arabic poetry. And we have seen many times in the examples in the Arabic language, like we have been doing many examples, like we have been comparing someone's face with the sun, with the brightness of the sun, like someone's, you can say, like, al-alim kal-bahr fil ilm. Fil ilmi, like the scholar is like the sea in knowledge. So we can say this that, like al-bahr kal-alim, uh, so like the sea is like the scholar, like we can see in its vastness, in his knowledge, like this implies that the scholar is the true source of the depth. So we can like use a tashbih maklub to just to exaggerate or just to emphasize the wajh shaba in the mushababihi. So this is how at-tashbih al-maklub works. So Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, we are done with at-tashbih al-maklub, and we saw a very beautiful example from the Quran in which the riba was compared with the trade, or the trade was taken as riba, because this is what the disbelievers thought. So I'll see you inshallah in the next session. Barakallahu li wa lakum. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu.